So my name is Adam Garratt, and this is my exhibition, Embodied Labour. Most of the work in this exhibition comes from donated materials and also reclaimed materials, and also reworked materials from previous projects. So the idea is that I will reframe the things that I have to create new moments. With the high-vis workwear, I really wanted to work with creating new forms out of the existing garments, and I wanted to bring a figurative element to it by creating forms that resembled heads or necks. So a lot of these objects fold into themselves to create what we have on the wall here. I wanted also to focus on the cuffs and the pockets, which help to resemble the hands. So this kind of brings in the element of labour and that idea of the workforce making things. I also really wanted to highlight some of the traumas that came with the garments, so some of the dirt and some of the stains, and also some of them are teared. And we've also got names written inside some of them, so you get this idea of people with the garments. I was also just really interested in injecting this really kind of vibrant colour into my work, which up until this point had been quite ephemeral and had this kind of translucent quality. Moving into high-vis, it was very much an idea of working with something that I'd never worked before, almost jumping in at the deep end. I wanted to kind of throw myself a challenge and work with fabrics. Although I'd never done it before, they offered something a bit different to me, which I could challenge myself with for this exhibition here at Studio Kind. I also have problems with storage for my work because a lot of it is quite big, and I tend to collect lots of material. So having fabrics that I can kind of condense into these package forms and almost have in a stored way was quite an important part of the practice. So although there are lots of each element here in the exhibition, they are all condensed and packaged, and that's where the ratchet straps come in. They become a really practical way for me to physically restrain the objects into a smaller form, A, so that I can store them, and B, so that I can travel with them to the space. It gives a bit of versatility to the work, and it allows me to take them to different places to experience them. So a work that I developed for the show was a collapsed print, which is just over 10 meters of print, which has about 100 different prints on it, which was suspended in the space and then dropped on the floor. I wanted to reflect the urban nature of where this material was collected, which was from a building site. And I also wanted to reference a working class area that has basically been run down over the years and not been redeveloped, which is the image that is printed on the plastic. It could also make people think about rubble and buildings that get demolished and areas that get redeveloped, causing displacement and long periods of work. So as well as physical objects in this exhibition, I have brought some printed materials, and these are printed onto the reverse side of reclaimed event banners. They have this really lovely kind of fabric stroke plastic texture, which actually is really exciting to print onto. And in this installation, I've got 90 prints that are all shown together in one go. So rather than just choosing the best prints and framing them, I wanted to display everything in one go in the same way that I would experience them in the printing studio, so in this case in a drying rack. And I like to think it shows the amount of work that goes into making a series of prints. With the event banners, I decided to cut them up into the sheets that you see here, and they actually do contain a lot of the past traumas that they've picked up in their life as an event banner. So there are stains and tears, there are bits of tape, you've also got the grommets on these, and I haven't shied away from showing prints that maybe went wrong during the printing process. So occasionally there'll be a slippage in the lining up of the prints, and sometimes there'll be a bit of colour bleed, but actually I want those to be in this work so that you can see that work does have these elements to it and it does have these traumas that come with it. As well as the compact forms of the prints and of the rubble bags here in the exhibition, I also wanted to show some expanded forms. The first time I came to Studio Kind, I was really excited about the height of the space and the industrial nature of it. So it has a corrugated metal ceiling and girders, and I was really interested in taking the work up into that space. So even though this work does fade into the back space, there are some details that just help to stick out and also draws the eye up to the ceiling so that you get this sense of the industrial nature of the work. And also it helps to bring out a bit of the scale that I have in my work. Even though these works kind of fold down and store away, they do expand into quite a large space, which is something that I really want to explore, is that kind of contrast between compact stored forms and expanded works in the space.